Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Desert. I'm Denise Janssen, your worship associate. For today's service, a rebirth of possibility, Earth Day and the transformation of hope. Before we begin, please take a moment to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. As we do every week, we acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded lands of the Agua Caliente Band of Kuya people, and we are committed to grow in our understanding and relationship with this land and with the people who inhabited it and nurtured it before our arrival. In this congregation, we strive to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person. You are welcome, no matter your sexual orientation or gender identity, your age, or your size, whether you're rich or you're poor. We welcome people of all races, religions, and cultures. We welcome you wherever you come from and whoever you love. We welcome all those who will learn and grow with us as we commit together to embrace the rich and beautiful diversity of the world. Our goal here is to build a community centered in justice, in compassion, and in love. We're glad you're with us this morning, whether you are here in the sanctuary or watching on your screen. We're very grateful for your presence. Now we'd like to take a moment to greet newcomers and visitors. If you're here for the first time or you're returning, and if you are comfortable doing so, please raise your hand and an usher will come with you with a microphone. At this time, please just tell us your name and where you're from, and after the service, we look forward to getting to know you better. Any? Nobody? Wow. Well, welcome. We look forward to getting knowing everybody who's here. And now Reverend Ian will ring our Tibetan bowl to begin our service, and we'll listen to our music of centering.
Good morning and welcome. I am the Reverend Ian Riddell. I have the delight and honor and joy of serving this congregation as its minister. However you found us, however many times you've been with us, here in person or online, welcome. We are a congregation grounded in our commitment to love and an evolving tradition that celebrates the richness and beauty of individual lives and commits to working together to weave a tapestry made stronger and more vibrant by our collaboration and by the sharing of our lives and our visions for a thriving, loving, and just future for all of life. We begin today with the words of Bengali poet and philosopher Rabindranath Tagore. The same stream of life that runs through my veins night and day runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measure. It is the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth in numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. It is the same life that is rocked in the ocean cradle of birth and death, in ebb and in flow. I feel my limbs are made glorious by the touch of this world of life, and my pride is from the life throb of ages dancing in my blood this moment. With that dancing in our beings, with love in our hearts, friends, let us worship together today. And we're going to start that worship, we're going to start that togetherness by lifting our voices in song. Will you please rise in body or in spirit as we sing together For the Beauty of the Earth.
Source of all to thee we pray.
join me in reading the words on the screen as Reverend Ian lights our chalice this morning. May love be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament, and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. And now, please join me in reading the words on the screen as Chris Eager lights our biopop candles. We light these candles in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and other people of color as we journey together towards spiritual wholeness. May we, as a loving community, work to dismantle racism and all forms of oppression. May we live out our principles so that justice, dignity, and equity for all prevail.
Love the earth.
Thank you, choir. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Joel. Beautiful, beautiful. In 2013, Vietnamese Buddhist monk and Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh wrote a series of tender meditations entitled 10 Love Letters to the Earth, in which he wanted us to be truly present with the earth, our mother. This first love letter is entitled Beloved Mother of All Things. Dear Mother Earth, I bow my head before you and I look deeply and recognize that you are present in me and I am a part of you. I was born from you and you are always present, offering me everything I need for my nourishment and growth. My mother, my father, and all my ancestors are also your children. We breathe your fresh air, we drink your clear water, we eat your nourishing food. Your herbs heal us when we are sick. You are the mother of all beings. I call you by the human name, Mother, and yet I know your mothering nature is more vast and ancient than humankind. We are all just one young species of your many children. All the millions of other species who live or have lived on Earth are also your children. You aren't a person, but I know you are not less than a person either. You are a living, breathing being in the form of a planet. Each species has its own language, yet as our mother, you understand all of us. That is why you can hear me today as I open my heart to you and offer you my prayer. Dear Mother, wherever there is soil, water, rock, or air, you are there, nourishing me and giving me life. You are present in every cell of my body. My physical body is your physical body, and just as the sun and stars are present in you, they are also present in me. You are not outside of me, and I'm not outside of you. You are more than just my environment. You are nothing less than myself. I promise to keep the awareness alive that you are always in me and I'm always in you. I promise to be aware that your health and well-being is also my own health and well-being. I know I need to keep this awareness alive in me for both of us to be happy, peaceful, healthy, and strong. Sometimes I forget, though. Lost in the confusion and worries of the daily life, I forget that my body is your body, and sometimes even forget that I have a body at all. Unaware of the presence of my body and the beautiful planet around me and within me, I am unable to cherish and celebrate the precious gift of life you have given me. Dear Mother, my deep wish is to wake up to the miracle of life. I promise to train myself to be present for myself, my life, and for you in every moment. I know that my true presence is the best gift I can give you, the one I love. Today's Share the Plate recipient is Alianza Coachella Valley. They do one thing and they do it well. They bring together community members, nonprofits, and government leaders to address the health and economic issues faced by the most marginalized people who live within our Coachella Valley, and they get results. This group's work recognizes the importance of a strong safety net, identifies underlying causes of poverty, and works for changes in policies and systems. Community members are a part of the entire process from the beginning to the end. At its essence, Alianza exists to reduce the inequities of the Coachella Valley, which are best illustrated by the gaps that distinguish its western region with its affluent gated golf club communities from its eastern region of agricultural towns north of the Salton Sea with dim opportunities for real economic, mental, and physical health. Today I have the joy of introducing Aide Palomino, Environmental Justice Campaign Manager, who will be sharing with us all the wonderful things that they are doing around and at the Salton Sea. Please welcome Aide.
Hi, good morning. Such a beautiful service, and thank you for the great introduction. That's such a great summary of what we do. Like Denise said, my name is Aida Palomino. I am the Environmental Justice Campaign Project Manager for Alianza Coachella Valley. And our focus since 2017 has been the Salton Sea. And our focus has always been also what we can do as far as infrastructure for our communities in the Salton Sea and development. And just to kind of go a little bit off of what Denise just said right now is that at Alianza Coachella Valley, we believe in people power. Our campaigns bring people together to build community, explore possibilities, and combine resources to transform our communities into places where we all can prosper. And with the mission to transform socioeconomic conditions for the Coachella Valley, our campaign, which is called the Resilient Salton Sea campaign, envisions a more beautiful, healthy, thriving, and united Salton Sea by facilitating conversations between residents, representatives of the government, members of academia, and leaders of the community-based organizations from Riverside and Imperial counties. We are focusing on how communities surrounding the Salton Sea are being developed with a focus on economic development, land use, infrastructure, and public and environmental health. We are also advancing a demonstration project that explores how infrastructure can respond to residents' needs for economic opportunity, environmental resilience, and health. And then lastly, we do use community science to better understand the impacts of a receding Salton Sea and incorporate that knowledge into actionable solutions. And I actually want to focus on the second bullet point that I just revealed there about a demonstration project. Our community since 2020 has been advocating for a trail. When the pandemic happened, we realized that our community had very little access to resources, and when we had the state focus on the Salton Sea and bringing down or funneling money into the region to focus on habitat restoration and dust suppression, we realized quickly that the community was being left out of the picture as far as community amenities. So our focus now has been on a trail to connect the Salton Sea communities, unincorporated Salton Sea communities, to the rest of the Coachella Valley. And in this year particularly, we have mobilized our community to actually go to the shores of Salton Sea and look at what a trail could particularly look like that is at the intersection of economic development, environmental sustainability, and social well-being. And what we focused on is a trail that incorporates many elements, not just vegetation and dust suppression, but also what it would look like if it had shade, what it would look like if it had multimodal access points, and then also, in our case, what it would look like to have space for like marketplace or entrepreneurship opportunities. A lot of our community are entrepreneurs. They sell food and art out of their homes. So we really want to make sure that we provide this space for people to go and share their sell their goods. So we had two events, one in January 27th and one on March 9th, and we invited our community from all across the valley to come and join us and look at different activities, explore the lake in general, because what has happened is that we have this negative narrative going around the Salton Sea, and what happens to that narrative, instead of turning into a positive narrative, is that it encourages disinvestment in the region, which leaves our marginalized communities and our disadvantaged communities out of the picture, and it leaves them nowhere to go. So I'm actually wearing this shirt right here. You can't really see it, but it is an art piece that actually one of our youth created. It's on our swag, and it's showing how our community is resilient and our environment is resilient. It has little flowers growing out of a little salt chaser with salt and sea water. And it really does show how resilient, A, our environment is, but B, also our communities, these communities that provide food on our table. They power our hospitality industry, particularly right now in Coachella Fest, but they get very little in return. So this trail is just the beginning of what we're tackling with our local government. And if you couldn't join us on January 27th and March 9th, I do have a pledge where you just, all you have to do is sign it, and it shows solidarity with our community. We plan to deliver this to the county, which is the local government that can do something about the trail and can actually be the implementing agency to start building the trail, and most importantly, involve the community in it. Everything from the planning to the design to even naming the trail, so that it is a trail formed by the community. So I appreciate this opportunity to come and speak to you all, and I will stick around later. So if you all want to sign the pledge, I encourage you to do so. And thank you so much, Denise, for this opportunity.
Sign the pledge. Thank you, Ida. She'll, as I said, sign the pledge. She'll be staying after. You can talk to her more then. Until then, please give as generously as you are able to here in the sanctuary. And if you're watching online, you should have received a link in your email that you were emailed earlier today. Please give as generously as you are able. Thank you. And now, will the ushers please come forward to take our offering?
Thank you for your generosity in supporting the work of Alianza, our community partners, in helping to make this valley that we live in more loving, more accepting, more thriving, and a place for all of its residents, not just those of us who live here at this end of the valley. Thank you for your generosity, for your support of this work and the work of our congregation. Those are the joys that have been shared with us, written in our book, shared out loud, but we know that there are joys. Each of us carries them in our heart's joys or sorrows that are too tender yet to bring out into the light. And so we hold those and hold ourselves gently. So I invite you to pause for some time of quiet together. As we breathe into this space, we are surrounded by this community today, these people who have come here to this place in this moment to be together, bringing heart and mind, soul and body here to this place to be together. We are grateful for the presence of these beloveds. We are grateful for the air that we breathe, the ground upon which we sit or stand or walk or roll. Grateful for the light that allows us to see each other's glorious faces, allows us to see the beauty of this place. Grateful for our ability to hear each other's breath, to hear the sound of birds in the trees, sound of feet walking through sand, the sound of our own heartbeats. Come together to this place and pause now in a moment of gratitude for the love that holds and surrounds and lifts us up in the face of the challenges and pains, the worries and triumphs of the world. We pause here for a moment to rest in that love. May all beings know peace. May all beings know an end to suffering. May all beings know love. Friends, will you join your voices together as we sing our hymn for meditation, Spirit of Life, Fuente de Amor. Well, during this church year, I have been preaching, I hope you've been paying attention, at least once a month, inspired by one of the themes lifted up as a value that we Unitarian Universalists share. As a reminder, at our Unitarian Universalist General Assembly in June of this year, this is the national body of our denomination, delegates from all of our congregations, including this one, will vote on whether to adopt new proposed language that outlines the values that we UUs believe ground our work, the sources where we find inspiration, and how we commit to practices of diversity and inclusion, all of this growing out of our central commitment to love and to freedom of belief. There have been a few amendments proposed, and those will also be discussed at General Assembly. We've been living with our 7, now 8 principles in our denomination for a good long time, since the late 1980s, and every once in a while we are called to look at how we express ourselves, how we share our values. And so this is the intent of this work, to share our values. It doesn't mean that the 7 principles, the 8 principles, disappear from our lives, but our denomination as a whole may choose to express things a little differently. And so I invite you into the conversation. We have been sharing about this process from the pulpit and on the patio for more than a year now. And we're hoping we can engage in some, and I know I've had one-on-one conversations with many of you. We're hoping we can engage in some conversation together as well. And so on Sunday, May 19th, I will be preaching about the whole process, preaching about the changes and what that might mean. And after that service on May 19th, Jane Zahn and I will host a conversation time where we together can look at the proposal and share and think collectively about it. But back to today. Each month, as I said, we've focused on one of the values in worship and in our chalice circles. Previously, we have explored interdependence, pluralism, justice, generosity, equity. And this month, we're looking at transformation. Now, the description of transformation and the covenants that grow out of it in this new language goes like this. We adapt to the changing world. We covenant, we promise, to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian Universalist heritages, never complete, never perfect. So it feels right, though, to be pondering transformation on this weekend, because tomorrow is Earth Day, a day set aside each year to remind us that we have a responsibility to this planet that we call home, that we are a part of, to care for it, to live on it and with it more lovingly, to transform the ways we live and envision the future in ways that are sustainable and healing. It's an annual call to transform. And today I want to share with you about two pieces of writing, two books that have started my own transformation or continued it, about our ecology, our climate, and our future. We often joke in Unitarian Universalism that we practice salvation by bibliography. So today, a couple of books for you that have inspired me. Both of these books begin with the context of our current lives here on and with our living planet, and then imagine possibilities for moving forward, for change, for transformation. One is a work of science fiction, and one is basically a manifesto for change. We'll start with the science fiction. Kim Stanley Robinson writes science fiction that grapples with how humanity and its politics and technology might survive and thrive here on Earth and in the close neighbors of our solar system. There are no aliens in his work, no cosmic powers, just us and what we invent. If you remember my sermon on different genres of science fiction last year, Robinson is clearly in the branch called mundane science fiction. No aliens, no cosmic powers, just us and what we invent. Many of his books deal with the impact of climate change and climate catastrophe on human civilization, usually from a perspective after the catastrophes have happened, and humanity is figuring out what to do in this new reality. In 2020, Robinson published a book called The Ministry for the Future, which takes a different tact. The book begins just a little bit into our future in the midst of an absolute catastrophe. A heat wave in India kills millions of people and serves as the impetus that drives a wide variety of people, governments, and activist groups to finally respond in more drastic ways. Interestingly, unlike many other novels, The Ministry for the Future uses a wide range of narrative modes to tell its story. First and third person narratives. The catastrophe at the beginning is narrated in the voices of the people experiencing it. Notes from meetings, news reports, academic papers, treatises on economics and tax policy, which is important in a moment. There are even sections from the perspective of a photon and a carbon atom. It's an unusual but a very powerful read. The main plot line follows the lives of two people: a United Nations diplomat who becomes responsible for humanity's formal, above-board response to the crisis, and an aid worker who survived the devastation in India and chooses a less conventional, sometimes more violent response to what is going on. The diplomat, Mary Murphy, is appointed head of the Ministry for the Future, an agency that grows directly out of the 2015 Paris Climate Accords. This agency is tasked with protecting the rights of generations yet to come as equal to the rights of those who live here now, those who will be most impacted by climate catastrophe. In an interview reflecting on the origins of the novel, Robinson said, "That's the reality of now, and science fiction, the strand I like most anyway," he says, "has always taken the present as the starting point for its speculations. The extent of the coming climate change is still up to us, and how we act now as a global civilization will make huge differences going forward. That seems to me to be the most important story of our time, and novels very often tend to try to tell the most important stories of any given time." Now, Mary Murphy and her agency don't just work with the governments of the world changing laws, although they do that. But in fact, they find that pretty ineffectual at first. But they do work with other non-governmental agencies and organizations, like the national banks, for example. There is certainly a focus on technological and agricultural solutions to the problems the world faces in the book, and there is featuring of those. But Robinson also focuses on leveraging the financial systems of our world, the tax systems, the currency systems as well. In the novel, a new currency is created by the national banks, separate from their governments, that rewards separation from the use of fossil fuels and the use and development of green and regenerative technologies and practices, and the creation of this new economy begins to shift things. Other things happen as well. A radical group that condones and uses violence quite freely also grows out of that Indian catastrophe. They make change by attacking commercial airliners and shipping vessels, making it too dangerous to travel or ship goods using fossil fuels. And so slowly, other methods are developed. Cargo ships with sails and dirigibles begin to return to use. Now, Robinson doesn't condone this violence, but it feels like a realistic portrayal of things that might happen, some people's response to things. And slowly, through this complex collection of actions and reimaginings of economies, laws, ways of doing business, ways of living together, ways of agriculture, humanity gets back into a better relation with our planet, and complete catastrophe is averted. The world is changed, but we can survive. I really can't recommend the book highly enough. I know I mentioned it last year. I will mention it again as a wonderful thing to read. It's called The Ministry for the Future. Mary Murphy, who is the main character of the book, was created by Robinson as a composite character based on diplomats Mary Robinson, who was a former president of Ireland, Laurence Toubiana, a French diplomat who was part of France's legation to the Paris Accords, and Cristiana Figueres, a Costa Rican diplomat who, for the United Nations, led the multinational dialogues, conferences, and negotiations that led to the Paris Accord. Cristiana Figueres also co-wrote the second book I want to talk about today, The Future We Choose, The Stubborn Optimist's Guide to the Climate Crisis. Figueres and co-author Tom Rivet-Carnac, who partnered with her in the Paris Accord work, created what is basically a manifesto for the future, a book grounded in the painful, challenging, destructive reality of today's climate situation, a book that is also hopeful and forward-looking. It doesn't shy away from the anxiety and the grief and the anger that we are already feeling, the climate-caused losses around us, but calls us to see that grief and anger clearly, acknowledge it, sit with it, and make the choice to do something about it. Because they say to choose not to is unconscionable. Our current crisis, they write, requires a total shift in our thinking. To survive and thrive, we must understand ourselves to be inextricably connected to all of nature. We need to cultivate a deep and abiding sense of stewardship. They write about two possible worlds. There is the world that we are creating now that will continue to be this way if we do nothing. This world that will result in climate collapse, in danger for human life and civilization, in catastrophe after catastrophe. The world that we are creating if we continue as we are going. And then, instead of imagining the world we might create, they're very clear. This is the world we must create. This world where we make changes right now. Because right now, we can make changes that will have an impact. The world we must create. A world in which we live very differently with each other and with the planet. Our new intentional direction must move us beyond defeatism to optimism, they write, beyond extraction towards regeneration, beyond linear towards circular economies, beyond individual benefit towards the common good, beyond short-term thinking toward long-term thinking and acting. They hold up three mindsets as crucial, as important, as necessary for this change to happen. The three mindsets are stubborn optimism, endless abundance, and radical regeneration. Stubborn optimism. We have no choice but to be optimistic because we have to be optimistic. I'm not going to, I'll let you read more in the book about that. But stubborn optimism. They write about endless abundance. Now, we think in our heads, but that's the problem. There isn't endless abundance. We're running out of stuff. That's the problem. And they talk about our reaction to that scarcity, to real scarcity, as a shift in attitude, a shift in the way we think from competition in the face of that adversity to collaboration. They hold up the process in the climate accords where thinking about emissions and lowering emissions and describe the process of shifting large countries like China and the United States in their attitudes from competing, whose responsibility is it, who has the most work, who's going to benefit from this, to understanding that we are all doing this work and that we all benefit. So the shift from competition to collaboration in the face of real scarcity, and then seeing where there is abundance. They write, when we are motivated by a desire for collaboration, we liberate ourselves from the restrictive framing of attaining what I want or think I need, and open ourselves up to a broader framing of what is available and possible in many other forms, available to me and to others. The realization of abundance is not an illusory increase in physical resources, but rather an awareness of a broad array of ways to satisfy needs and wants so that everyone is content. And the third mindset they talk about is radical regeneration, which for them is moving away from extractive attitudes and practices and embracing and investing in practices that give back, that work in tandem with the natural world's ability to regenerate itself. How we think about power and energy, how we think about agriculture. And they think about this regenerative mindset personally as well as broadly. Continued personal regeneration grounding, which allows us to stand as a tree firmly rooted in our values, principles, and convictions as the world shifts around us. We have the responsibility to replenish ourselves and help each other restore themselves to levels of greater insight and energy, they write. They talk very clearly throughout all of this about personal practices as well as governmental, institutional, and corporate practices. All of these are important. And then they talk about action, what we can do. And they give a list of 10 actions. I'm going to list the 10 actions, but I'm not going to go into deep depth about all of them because we don't have the time, and I really encourage you to explore more into the book. So those 10 actions are: let go of the old world is the first one. Part with ways that threaten to destroy everything. Build resistance to nostalgia for a past that never was and actually can never be again, because despite the fact that we can change things, we have already altered our planet's climate and we can't go back. 2, face your grief. Face your grief. but hold the vision for the future. 3, defend the truth. Apply critical thinking to all of the information we receive and consume. Defend the truth. Seems like something we grapple with right now, too. See yourself as number 4, see yourself as a citizen, not as a consumer. Citizen, not a consumer. Number 5, move beyond fossil fuels. The big one, there's lots there. Reforest the earth, they're number 6. One of the easiest and most straightforward things we can do is bring more trees back to our planet. Invest in a clean economy. Use technology responsibly. And here they talk about technology, agricultural technology, industrial technology, but also social media technology, also artificial intelligence. Use technology responsibly. Build gender equity as a primary thing that we need to do across the planet. And number 10, the one that we don't want to do, engage in politics. Vote for the people who make the environment their first priority and hold them accountable for that work. This is their engage in politics. At this moment, they write, when we have reached the limits of the planet's abilities to sustain life in the form which we know it, we have also reached the limits of the stories that define our lives. Personal achievements through individualistic competition, continuous consumption, skepticism about our ability to come together as humanity, and an inability to see the deeper impacts of what we are doing to the planet, all are no longer useful. Now we must move toward understanding our shared existence on this planet, not because it is a nice addendum to what we do, but because it is a matter of survival. Again, another book I would highly recommend to all. It's called The Future We Choose. If I had one critique of The Future We Choose, it's that it makes almost no reference to the influence of indigenous wisdom on the change in attitude and vision that we need to ensure our success in navigating and diminishing climate change. The ethos is there, collective work, our interconnectedness with all of humanity and the rest of nature, an understanding that our decisions and actions need to take into account their impact on future generations. Content is there, but the acknowledgement of the place of origin of some of that is not present. In an article called Writing the Relationships in the Unitarian Universalist World magazine from winter 2022, Indigenous scholar Nuzune Menka shares an Indigenous understanding of what we are facing. She writes, "For Indigenous people around the world, climate change has long been more than an abstract futuristic possibility. It has been a reality affecting the harvesting of our traditional foods and our ability to hunt and fish, affecting our ability to live on our ancestral homelands, and changing a way of life that we have been living since time immemorial. The importance of an Indigenous worldview is illuminated by the impacts of climate change, and climate change is exacerbated by the Western world's historic and contemporary reliance on imperialistic endeavors to extract resources in the name of capitalism. All things are connected and interconnected, dependent and interdependent." These are the voices we did listen to when we decided to lift up our principle of the interdependent web of our current seventh principle. It is the understanding that we are not separate from nature. Not us and nature. We're not separate. So many philosophies and religious traditions understand human beings to be separate and disconnected, here to make use of the riches of the earth, to extract them, to dominate them, to bend them to our wills and needs. We are called by our own Unitarian Universalist tradition and by many other traditions, religious traditions of the world, to understand things differently. To see the way that Thich Nhat Hanh sees, as Denise shared earlier. Dear Mother, wherever there is soil, water, rock, or air, you are there, nourishing me and giving me life. You are present in every cell of my body. My physical body is your physical body. And just as the sun and stars are present in you, they are also present in me. You are not outside of me, and I am not outside of you. You are more than just my environment. You are nothing less than myself. That new language of values that we are exploring this year also calls us to honor this seeing. We honor the interdependent web of existence with reverence for the great web of life, and with humility we acknowledge our place in it. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect mutuality and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. Friends, we are called by so many voices, by what we see around us, what we hear on the news, by what we read, called towards a transformation of our vision for ourselves and this living planet of which we are a part. Called to transform our relationship with each other, with all of life within and around us. What we see and hear and feel as we look at the devastation can bring us to a place of grief and pain. We cannot look away from that grief. We cannot ignore it. We cannot run from it. It is real. But it cannot stop us. If we take it seriously, if we see it and feel it clearly, it can be the spark that lights the fire of our own transformation, our own commitment to the work of envisioning and enacting new possibilities for the world, the spark that keeps us committed to hope. I think, said Kim Stanley Robinson, hope is a moral obligation. So I try to stay hopeful. We can choose hope. And we can choose, write Christina Figueres and Tom Rivet-Carnac, we can choose to write a story of regeneration of both nature and the human spirit, but we have to choose. May our grief and our anger and our love call us to choose hope, call us to choose possibility, call us to choose transformation of ourselves and of this beautiful blue place we call home. May it be so. Friends, will you rise in body or in spirit and sing together, Blue Boat Home?
Sing the
Thank you, Reverend Ian. We have 3 announcements from, guess where? Social Justice Committee. You have until Friday to vote for your 8 favorite organizations for Share the Plate. The link is in last Friday's newsletter. It will be all online. And now I'm going to use my privilege of the pulpit to tell you that today's Share the Plate recipient, Alianza Coachella Valley, is again on the ballot. Vote for them. Every time a mother feeds her baby, she shows an act of love. But for many East Valley moms facing financial hardship, basic necessities like formula can feel like an insurmountable challenge. We're hoping to change that with Formula on the 4th. Next Sunday, please bring in just one of these cans. It's 12.5 ounces, the yellow can of Enfamil infant formula. You can buy them at Target, Walmart, in the stores, or online. Walgreens is probably a little more expensive, though. I want to save you guys some money. We will deliver them to Galilee Center to be handed out to families with babies at their next formula and diaper distribution. Please buy one. And finally, I bet you're not aware that UUCOD has a 10-year history with Coachella Valley Unified School District Migrant Education Program. For the last 10 years, we have been buying toys. When we went into COVID, we bought the gift certificates. And for the last 3 years, we've been doing the food boxes. And every single time we're able to, we serve dinner at their migrant education Christmas party. The kids pick out their toys. It is a wondrous event. This has been going on for 10 years. Now, we on the Social Justice Committee don't do any of this for accolades or any of it. We do it because we side with love, and we know that all of you will join in it. But to our surprise and delight, Coachella Valley Unified School District wants to honor us, all of us. On Wednesday, May 15th, they will be honoring all of us, UUCOD, for this commitment. You, all of you, are invited to join Carol McDaniel, who is a longtime member of the Social Justice Committee and now sits on the board, and Joni Paddock, one of the 4 organizers of the program, at a very special recognition of UUCOD. Please look in next Friday's newsletter for more details and RSVP to Joni that you will be joining them. And now, please join me, the words on the screen, as we extinguish our chalice this morning. We extinguish this flame, not the light of truth, the warmth of the community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
The authors of In the Future We Choose write, "We want you to know 2 things. First, even at this late hour, we still have a choice about our future, and therefore, every action we take from this moment forward counts. Second, we are capable of making the right choices about our own destiny. We are not doomed to a devastating future, and humanity is not flawed and incapable of responding to big problems if we act." In the Ministry of the Future, for the Future, Kim Stanley Robinson writes, "We are the children of this planet. We are going to sing its praises all together, all at once. Now is the time to express our love, to take the responsibilities that come with being stewards of this earth. devotees of this sacred place, one planet. My friends, as we go forth back into our daily lives, may we carry these prophetic voices in our mind, these voices of grief, these voices of love, these voices of possibility, of regeneration, and of hope. Go in peace, my friends, to love and serve the world.